Welcome one and all to the show. Wired up, fired up, ready to go. BlueTruth, New York Rangers talk with myself, Brian Attard, powered by the Sports Box Network. First comment of the night. Sav, brother, how are you? Like and follow on Facebook and Twitter. Thank you all for if you're watching this one live. If you're watching the YouTube replay, thank you for that as well. Go ahead and subscribe. Appreciate that. You know, I almost didn't go live tonight. I wasn't really planning on it. I didn't do any pre-show promotions and everything. And, the NFL season kicks off a week from today. And then I got my fantasy football draft starting tomorrow and the weekend. My wife wants to kill me. And then there was some news today. So I felt I wanted to hang out with you guys, talk about the topic that, we hold nearest and dearest. And that's our New York Rangers. It is episode 23 of BlueTruth, September 1st, which means, as Kevin has so eloquently put, we have hockey this month. You are entering the month of training camp. Summer is ending. The kids are going back to school and the Rangers are about to get the season started. But as is normally the case around these parts, it's never without drama. Rangers actively looking to trade 2018 first-round pick Nils Lundkvist before training camp. The 28th overall pick in 2018, just 22 years old, and I'm pretty sure he's the last remaining bit of the Ryan McDonough, JT Miller deal, which had so much, Brett Howden and Namestnikov and Libor Hayek and a 1 and a 2, and it looks like it's about to pretty much poof, you got nothing. Apparently, he's frustrated with his role. He wants to be moved somewhere else where he has the opportunity to play. He's probably been the most likely trade chip for the Rangers for a while now, going back to the courtship or lack thereof. Maybe they didn't with Jack Eichel. And I think that in reading some of the responses to this out there in Rangerland, people are getting some flashbacks to Lias Anderson a few years ago and Vitaly Kravtsov last year. And they think that, this is another one of that. This is Ranger front office ineptitude. This is, you can't harvest your own talent. You can't cultivate the people that you draft. And I have to tell you, this is honestly like of zero surprise to me. And frankly, it should be zero surprise to you. And in many ways, especially a couple for sure, this is a positive. I've been saying on this show for months, going back to last year, that Ranger fans need to come to grips with the basic fact that all of the kids that they have drafted as part of the rebuild are just not going to be able to play here. It is as simple math as there can be. There are only so many spots on an NHL roster, and plenty of them on the current NHL roster have long-term financial contractual commitments. And if they don't already, they're about to. Lundkvist, smaller guy, offensive, power play guy. He's an Adam Fox style of player. No, I'm not calling him Adam Fox. What I'm saying is that he is cut from that cloth. Bit smaller, offensively talented, power play quarterback kind of guy. And when you have an Adam Fox style of player, you don't generally have more than one of them. He is a right side defenseman. The Rangers currently have their newly minted captain, Jacob Trouba, and 2 years ago's Norris winner, Adam Fox, locked into their top 4 on the right side. I think it's happening now with Lundkvist versus last year because now you've seen Braden Schneider, the first-round pick from 2020, taken after Lafreniere. He's got a stranglehold on that spot. So It's literally a game of musical chairs, and Lundkvist knows that there isn't a seat for him. So what's he gonna do? Wait around here to try to figure this out. It is completely understandable that he would want to go somewhere where he would have an opportunity to play. They have NHL ready players and nowhere to play them. That is a very good problem to have. Alternatively, all these draft picks could have sucked and you can't play them anywhere you don't want to play them. This is not what's happening here. What's happening is that this kid wants to play. He believes he has the ability to play, but he knows he just can't play here because of the numbers. So it's a positive because, if they're able to take Lundkvist and turn him into, I don't know, a center prospect, that would be wonderful. We've talked about this a lot going back to the drafts the last couple of years, is that they've had an organizational need at center, and they kept drafting wingers and defensemen, and it's not their fault. It's not their fault. I don't think Rykov's going to see the light of day. I think that ship has sailed on. I think I don't know how old he is now, but I'm assuming he's older than that. Also, Tom says incorrect. They can build, mold, and make goalies. That's about it. Well, there's some truth to that. Thank you, Benny Allaire. Kind of the kids aren't all right. Well, they are. They just want to play. The kids want to play. Let the kids play. Trade him. We have plenty of depth, defensive depth. Otherwise, and I agree. That's what I'm kind of getting to here. Is he's 22, still has a ton of value. It's just not going to be here. And it's not going to be here primarily because the Rangers got Ryan Lindgren as a throw-in in the Rick Nash deal. That's exactly what he was. And the Rangers drafted Keandre Miller in the same draft as Lundkvist, ahead of him. They still have Zach Jones. They still have Matthew Robertson. So this is the strength of your pool. If you're going to deal from your strength to address your weakness, this is the spot to do it from. So this news breaking today that, he wants out, cool. That's fine. I mean, he could have easily been traded a bunch of times between now and when he made the roster a couple years ago. So in my opinion, this is good. Let's use him to fill organizational holes. Cool. That's absolutely fine. I'm on board for this. There is no reason for Ranger Nation to freak out about this because this is, by any measure, not a problem. The problem would be is if you move him for below market value. And the question is going to be, what the hell's market value, Kevin? Notorious for overvaluing our own prospects. Well, Kevin, we never usually have prospects. So, let's say we don't normally have anybody else wants. Can they get a first-round pick or equivalent for him? I think that they can. He's 22. Like I said, still a young guy, cost controlled for a while. They need to take this player and address their need at center. I think this is not about, at least right now, I think it's not about augmenting the pro roster. I think you need to get some center depth because we're going to talk about lineups and stuff in future shows, which I'll get to, but I don't know how much longer Filipino's going to be here, frankly. And I don't think there's a lot of depth at center in the organization. You need to fix that. You haven't drafted it. Not your fault that Lafreniere and Kakko were your picks. Those were the obvious ones. Had to take them, but you haven't really addressed center at all. Miller had assets trade up to move to get him. Front office can't get egg on their face. No, I mean, Tom, are we going to be upset that Keandre Miller's panning out? I'm not going to be upset about that. I might be a little upset at how much I'm going to have to pay him in a salary cap league because he's played very well. Really good year last year. Big, huge potential for blowing up this year in earnest. So, and Mark Brown, he was the odd man out with Schneider and Jones. Absolutely. But not even it's specifically, I think, more Schneider because I don't think anybody thought that Schneider was going to take that spot and run with it the way he did last year. I remember he made his debut while I was in Walt Disney World, and it was in San Jose, and he scored a goal. And okay, And he did not look out of place, played very well. I mean, that's a kid you're excited about. And I'm going to first person to tell you, I hated that pick. I hated that pick because I thought they needed a center, and I still do. So if you're going to fix it, if you're going to take Nils Lundkvist and move him for a center prospect, cool. Everything's fixed then, at least from that standpoint. So, I don't expect them to pick their first round pick in the upcoming draft. So, like, you need to replenish that position, and you need to use the strength that you have in other spots to do it. Kevin says Phil Hedl equivalent trade. I don't know that you're going to. Kev, I don't think you're going to get an NHL player right now. I think that it's a prospect for prospect trade. It's maybe you go find a team that's got center prospects and they're deep there and they're a little light on defense. And I think you just help each other out in that way. You take what you're missing is what they have, and what they're missing is what you have. One hand washes the other. I think that's the most likely scenario with this. But to me, I think that I don't know that because of their cap situation, I just don't foresee them using it for immediate help. Like, I think a lot of their roster set, again, we're going to get into the roster later this month as far as lines and everything else. We're going to touch a bit on that tonight, but not really too in depth specifically, just a couple of players. I don't think this is the JT Miller trade, I guess, if that's what you're thinking. Right? Like, I don't think that that's the direction with this. If you're watching the show live, thank you. I see a very nice number of you are. Give us a like. We appreciate that. It helps us break the Facebook algorithm and gets us out there to the community. If Facebook will put the show out to more people, the more likes that it gets. So we appreciate that, of course. But that's the headline today, is Larry Brooks reporting that the Rangers are actually looking to trade Nils Lundkvist. I'm perfectly fine with it. You should be perfectly fine with it. The reason that you would not be fine with it is if they give the player away. If it becomes a situation where it doesn't end well, if that makes sense. I have no issue. If you go back to, I'm not going to necessarily say, oh, remember when they traded Buchnevich and they didn't get a whole lot for him? The problem there was never that they traded Buchnevich. The problem there was that they didn't get enough for him, right? I think we all agree on that aspect. What you don't want here is that they end up not getting enough back, and that's a concern. But I'll give Drury the benefit of the doubt. I said that we weren't going to get too far into lines tonight, but there's two bits of information. I shouldn't say information. 2 points that I want to make that I think are important to make. Terry, how are you, sir? I see you. Saf says, I wanted Nils to get traded for Kirby Dach before the draft. That would have been something, but I don't know if that's something that Chicago wanted. And in the retrospect, maybe that would have made some sense. Again, that would have been a nice nice addition. But I think, again, that's a pro guy. So, like, I don't know that. I mean, I don't think that ever would have stopped them from signing Trocheck. So I don't know what they would have done there. I don't know that Dach has a spot. I don't know if you gave me Kirby Dach right now, where I'd put him. I don't really know. Where would you put him? You have to play him on wing. You've got your centers. I'm not gonna put him on the fourth line, right? So I like where your head's at, Sav. I don't know that would work given where we are now. But I say that after the fact that they did go sign Vincent Trocheck. One thing that I'm going to be banging the drum for is that Alexis Lafreniere, the first overall pick in the 2020 draft, he absolutely must 157% play on the first line. This is not even a discussion that I'm willing to have with people at this point. There is no way that Alexis Lafreniere can be anywhere on this team other than on the first line. And I'm going to go on record right now, and I'm going to say that in my eyes, whatever success the Rangers are going to have is going to be contingent upon Alexis Lafreniere playing in the first line. And that spot should be on the right wing. It could be on the left if you move things around a little bit. Maybe that works. I don't really care. but he's got to be on the first line. I came across someone in one of the Rangers groups that I'm in, and I'm in plenty of Rangers groups, obviously, as are you, spreading the good word of BlueTruth, and I'm sure that's how many of you have found me, and many of you have watched the show. And I come across this comment where the person, and thankfully I've forgotten their name because I will not go and bash them on the internet like this, but basically that Lafreniere needs to stay in his natural position. His natural position, which is left wing. And if that's on the third line, so be it. And the person goes on to say, and then he can take over when Panarin or Kreider move on, and they'll just move up the roster at that point. That, my friends, is elite level stupid on a bunch of levels. But first and foremost, you're going to keep your first overall pick on the third line for at least 4 more years until Artemi Panarin's deal is done? You want the kid to play on the third line until he's 24. Really? You think that's a good idea? Okay. We are not the same. I have absolutely no idea why that would make any sense to anyone. That the idea that Lafreniere, again, a first overall pick, third line. And then I see this today that Lafreniere is the first overall pick in like forever to not have a power play goal in his first 2 seasons. And people get up in arms about this. And I'm like, I don't know what you're watching. You're watching the same games that I am. It kind of should make sense that Lafreniere doesn't have a power play goal, right, Kevin? Because he doesn't play on the power play. First overall picks tend to go to teams that are god-awful. Not to teams with Mika Zibanejad and Artemi Panarin and Chris Kreider and so on. First overall picks are showered with top line minutes and as much power play time as they can handle because they go to teams that suck. That's why they're picking first. Lafreniere has not played the power play in any sort of tangible term because the Rangers haven't sucked that bad. So how is he going to be a power play guy if he doesn't get the time? Now, as Kevin noted, that might change this year. But my point is the same to both situations, both the guy who seems to think Lafreniere should stay on the third line, and then the people that are complaining he doesn't get power play goals. You need to put a player like Alexis Lafreniere, a kid with his talent and upside, in spots where he can show it off. He needs to play with your best players. He cannot be a bottom 6 player for this team to come anywhere near their expectations. All of this, yo-yoing, and maybe he's the third line left wing, and maybe we'll try him on the second line. You need to be decisive. Like, you need to give the kid the spot and let him go. This idea that, he does... All these people, Lafreniere's not scoring goals. Okay. Well, Tim Stützle's got goals. Tim Stützle plays first line in Ottawa because Ottawa sucked. Jack Hughes played first line. When he went to Jersey, they sucked. This is what tends to happen with these players. Opportunity breeds it. David Quinn said it on Cam and Strick. I go back to that a lot because I believe in that. That he's like, you have to be accountable to the players on your roster. Just because you have Lafreniere and Akako that you drafted high does not mean that they need to go into these spots when you have players that are better at that time. You have to be real. Keep it real. So maybe their development has not been as brisk because they haven't been dropped into the pool to swim. Okay. That's fine. That worked out kind of well with Kako's deal, the 2-year deal. So again, I'm not gonna, I think we just live in reality here, and I think that to me, if Lafreniere is not on the first line, that is a problem. Sav says third line center, move Hedel to right wing. Are you saying to put Laffy in the third line center? Or you must be talking about Kirby Doc. Okay. Well, that's fine. And again, I don't hate that. I don't know that I love that. I don't hate that. I'm in the middle on that. Kana regarding potentially 4 years of Lafreniere, 4 more years of Lafreniere on the third line. Yeah. What are we doing? That's not where you put offensive players. A bit of a hiccup. Tom's going to disagree with me. Top 6 is top 6. Not sure if he should be top line, but top 6 is where he should be. He needs 17-ish minutes per game. Well, part of my next topic, I think, ties into kind of your thought here. Part of the reason that I think, Tom, that he needs to be on the top line is what it does for everyone else as well. I think the way the roster is constructed, it's gotta be there. He has to be on that top line. Because I think if he's not, then you're potentially taking him out of position to put him on line 2. I don't know that makes sense. Kid's got the offensive talent. He's played on the top line before for longer periods of time. Just hadn't stayed there. So, I don't know. For me, I need to see him on the top line. I respect your point. I think he needs to be there. And while I will sit here and say to you that Alexis Lafreniere needs to be on the first line, I will also say that for this team to reach any semblance of potential success, then the returning Sammy Blais needs to be nowhere near the top 6. These two concepts of Lafreniere on the first line and Sammy Blais in the bottom 6 are very much related. The last few years with this team, there's been this maddening trend. And you know where I'm going with this. Whether it's been a Colin Blackwell or a Dryden Hunt or a Sammy Blais or most recently a Frank Vetrano, the Rangers have continued to take bottom 6 type players, at the very least not top line guys. I think we'll agree with that. Vetrano is a tweener maybe, but for the most part, the Dryden Hunts of the world, the Colin Blackwells of the world, these are not top 6 players on professional hockey teams. Pickup games, sure. The NHL, absolutely not. And they've continued to do this at the expense of someone like a Capo Caco, a young player. I will remember, and again, Rock says it, Jesper Foss played second line for a while. Don't think that makes any sense. Didn't make sense then, wouldn't make sense now. But it's that same ilk. And by the way, good to talk to you too. Capo Caco played on the 4th line his rookie year so they could put Fost on the second line. Now tell me what the hell, why? 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 What are you trying to accomplish there? And then they're like, oh, Capo Caco is the worst player in the NHL. His advanced statistics, which I agree with, by the way, his advanced statistics are terrible. He's the worst. No shit, Sherlock. He's playing with god-awful flaming garbage on your 4th line. He's an offensive player. You like this is not rocket science, right? So Kravtsov was playing on the 4th line. Did he make the team? I don't play on your 4th line. Of course not. You are not a 4th line player. Ryan Reeves is a 4th line player. Sammy Blais is a bottom 6 player. If Sammy Blais is playing in the top 6, then it's probably on the right-hand side because it's not going to be at the expense of Chris Kreider or Artemi Panarin, right? Okay. So if he's playing on the top 6 on the right side, then that means that one or more of the first-round picks, Laffy, Kakko, maybe even Kravtsov, aren't working out. And if that's the case, that's a serious problem. That's not good. It's not good at all. The Rangers probably come into the year with, as I mentioned, Laffy, Kakko, and Kravtsov going down the right side. If Blais is anywhere towards the right side of if Blais is pretty much anywhere other than third line left wing or the fourth line, somebody's hurt or there's a disaster going on. This is not last year's team. Last year's team, the deadline was filling holes, right? Blais got hurt. They needed, they didn't have, in a way, Kopp was like their Buchnevich replacement somewhat. Vetrano was their Blais replacement somewhat. Mott was just a PK guy. But they tried to fill those holes, and Drury did a very nice job of that. I'm not saying that he didn't. But you can't go into the season. If Sammy Blais is playing on the second line in November, we're going to lose our minds, right? This is, and Gallant's done this, and this is the one thing, so is Quinn. They get these pairs of guys, there's Mika and Kreider, and there was Strome and Brad, and then they figure out the third guy. And it's I'm done with that. You have too much talent in this youth to play a scrub, as Alec Cadell so eloquently put it. Enough with the scrubs taking top spots for unexplainable reasons. And it's not, Alec, it's not that it's an unexplainable reason. I understand the rationale, I just don't agree with the logic. The logic always was with Fost or Blackwell or whatever, that they were doing the dirty work for Strome and Panarin, going into the corner, stuff like that. I understand why you're doing it. But like Tom says, that's not what winning teams do. They don't put these kind of guys in those positions because they have better players. This year, so much is about the youth. Kreider's going to regress, okay? Kreider's probably not going to get 50 goals. That's probably not a controversial statement on my part, because if I told you he was going to get 50 last year, you'd tell me I'm an idiot. Never broke 30. The goals have to come from somewhere, and they're going to have to come from your kids. You need Lafreniere and Kakko to have years this year, or you're not going to go back to where you were. Your goalie only carries you so much. We've seen that movie before a couple times. Tends to be the story around here. But assuming health, Sammy Blais needs to have this ceiling on line 3. You can't go here. This is the highest you're going to get. And I had no problem with Brewery signing him for $1.5 million. I'm fine with that. Very low risk. I don't want him in my top 6. I don't want him in my power play. Know your role and shut your mouth. Play in the third line. Again, we'll get into, the full lineup in September. I know we're in September now, but in a couple of weeks. If we see Sammy Blais or Goodrow in the top 6, it's bad. It's just bad. It needs to stop. Not a fan. 1 star. Do not recommend. It can't go like this. The idea that, this is why, the Rangers have a kid line. No, they don't. Not anymore. That just happened. It was a moment in time. The only kid line you're going to have is if Brennan Othman makes the team on that third line left wing and Hedel stays there and it's Kakko or Kravtsov on the right. That's all I got for you. That's not going to happen. They are not going to play that much talent on the third line again. You got you had 2 spots. You got at least 1 spot in your second line to fill. Andrew Kopp is gone. Strome got replaced by Trocheck. We'll do roster. Not yet. I just don't. It needs to not happen for my personal sanity, because I'll lose my mind. Terry Economos, he has to be a mentor this year and further. Yeah. I like what Sammy Blais brings to this team. I think he really fits the team nicely in that role. It doesn't mean I need to see you anywhere near. Sammy Blais and Mika Zibanejad need to not be on the ice at the same time. It's pretty much that simple. If you want to boil it down, Sammy Blais and Panarin should not be on the line on the ice at the same time. Just not. I just don't see it. I can't wrap my head around it. Please don't make me. It drives me nuts. Every regular Rangers fan should know who every top 6 forward, top 4 starting goalies. When was the last time we can safely say that was truthful? Well, yeah, Tom, you're right. And we said 2 weeks ago, and we said last year, we can romanticize a lot about, oh, there's going to be some training camp battles. No, there aren't. Not anymore. Not in a salary cap league where you can't take guys and put them in the minors. You know who's on this team. When we start going through rosters on our next show, like none of it's going to necessarily be rocket science. We'll have some discussion more around placement, not player. You know who's on this roster when the season starts. You know that. It's just about putting the chess pieces in the right place. And frankly, we know most of that too. The contracts tell you that. Kevin, Goodrow is Gallant's safety blanket. He will see top 6 minutes this year. We'll just hope it's injury replacement. You know, Kevin, there's one. There's more than one. But if there's one contract that I think they can get out of, it might be Goodrow. And I know that's wild because I think everybody here would agree that Goodrow with a 3.6 for the next 5 years is lofty. It is. It is. But you can't move anybody else. For me, it's indicative of a deeper problem. Like if you don't, I hate to make this correlation because I don't want to make a court case out of it. When you bench Kaapo Kakko in Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals, what you're saying is that you don't trust him in that spot. I don't care what he says. I don't care what he says that, oh, we were trying to win a game. I want to do something different. I'm not buying what you're selling. You did that for a reason. Now, it didn't blow up in their face. He signed for 2 years. But you did that for a reason. You don't have the trust in that player in that spot. For whatever reason you don't. That's fine. He has to earn it. I don't want to see Kakko on the 3rd line. You better not put him on the 4th. God, love of God. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. These type of offensive players need to be in offensive roles, not a checking line role. David Quinn did that with Kakko his rookie year. Was a disaster. Kakko, worst player in the league. Sure. Yeah. Okay. Look, has he blown up? No. I'm not saying he has. Not the worst player in the league. Kev, I hope you're wrong. I really hope you're wrong. Oren, brother, how are you? Good to see you. Would you move Kreider to the 3rd line? You know, see, that's the other thing, right? So, yeah, I thought that was going to happen on its own, and then Kreider put up 52 goals. So it's like this success breeds again a good problem to have. But can you really break up Mika and Kreider after last year? I think it's going to take a lot to do that. I really think like they would need to be like 3-7 in their first 10 games, or like go on like a 3-win in 10 game stretch for the coach to really feel the need to tinker with that bond. I mean, the two of them love each other. I mean, I think the reason that neither of them is captain is that the other one wouldn't be. That's why it ended up being true. But I think there's some truth to that, and that's been like one of those conspiracy theories that like if you gave it to one, it slights the other. Maybe. Can Blais and Panarin warm up and practice on the same ice? I mean, I don't think Panarin really needs to warm up or practice. He's probably fine. Blais needs to do a lot of it. Look, Tom, I know you're being facetious, but you get my point, right? You get my point is that, and again, if you're watching, I appreciate all the likes coming in. I see them. Thank you very, very much. More of you, again, the more likes you get, the more people get to see the show. So I appreciate that. Costs you nothing to like, so money back guarantee. I feel like I'm rambling on this, but I just need to reinforce this. Sammy Blais, get nowhere near my top 6. It can't happen. It cannot happen. Too much. You have so much talent for Sammy Blais to be in your top 6. You have so much talent that no matter what you do, and no matter how you slice it, one of Lafreniere, Kakko, or Kravtsov is on your third line. So in no equation can you find Sammy Blais above that. I don't mean to harp on the same point, but he cannot play the top 6. I need to have 3 people out of the lineup before that happens. Maybe 2. Ask me. But no. The answer is no. In Spanish, no. So, yeah. Alec, you can cry the team's power couple, breast bromance on the team now the Strom and Brett are done. Yeah, I mean, yes, but like, could you imagine? Look, we love drama, right? I mean, we do, but we don't. It's New York. But like, could you imagine like the papers? Oh, Mika and Kreider. Why? Why go through that? It's working. Don't break what's working. You may have questions on if Vincent Trocheck should play with Panarin. Okay. I mean, I remember the days when Brandon Dubinsky was your first line center because Scott Gomez and Chris Drury, making $7.5 million a year apiece, couldn't play with Jaromir Jagr. I remember that. So it's not a fait accompli that Trocheck and Panarin are going to work out. You figure that out then. Maybe you do end up with Panarin on the top line. Okay. With Kreider and okay, cool. If that's what it is, that's what it is. I just don't think you try to break something that has worked tremendously for you. Tom Scavetta from Review and Preview. Love those guys. We're going to do some cross promo with them on the Sports Box. So check them out. Love what they do. A lot of good New York flavor. There's an Islanders fan too. You know, we don't judge. It's okay. Not everybody's perfect. He's just a little good kid. Or he thinks you have a point there. Well, yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying because it makes sense. I mean, obviously, if you can put Kreider on the third line, then that opens up a natural left-wing position for Lafreniere to play on the first line. Problem solved. But I think that what Kreider did last year, which nobody saw coming, I think that really just like he's got a lot of rope now. Like he really would need to be pretty bad for him to get dropped. I mean, could it happen? Anything could happen. It's Gerard Gallant, but if the Scrubs are in the top 6, insert the Simpsons "I'm in trouble" meme. Yeah, Tom, yeah, that's exactly right. That means that something terrible is going on. Terrible for that to happen. So, Sammy Blais, out of my top 6. Get out. We'll do lineups later this month. The Rangers rookies will be playing the Flyers rookies September 16th and 17th at Lehigh Valley, where the Phantoms play at the PPL Center in Allentown. Something similar to this took place last offseason, if you remember, where it was at the MSG Training Center, and they were showing it on YouTube, and it pretty much looked like a kid with an iPhone was videoing live going like this, and you couldn't see shit. And it was awful. And I remember it was 3 p.m, and I had gotten lunch, and I sat down on my couch, and I put YouTube on my TV, and I'm like, I can't see what's going on. You're $1 billion value franchise, and you couldn't get a camera there. Good. Yeah, sure. So the better part now is tickets are available. So if you happen to be anywhere in the Pennsylvania area, I live about 2 hours from there, and I know that because I mapped it out because I bought tickets. I will be going to the Saturday afternoon game at 5 p.m. I'll be taking my son, Braden, who is 4, to his first hockey game. I figure that we'll test the waters when the tickets are $20 before we buy the expensive ones at the Garden. We'll see how he does. See if he likes it. But if you're going, tickets are cheap online, like $20 lower level, maybe even like 10 upper level. You know, I love going to like preseason games on occasion because I get to see the kids that you don't normally see. Like I remember when the Flyers affiliate, the Phantoms, was in Philadelphia at the Spectrum before they blew it up. I would go every time the Hartford Wolfpack were in town because I would get to see people the future of the team. And this was at a time when the Rangers had no future. So now at least it's exciting because they're rookies that you want to go see. That I hope to see Brennan Othman and Will Cooley and Dylan Garand and, Brian Berard and, or Brett Berard. Sorry. My bad. But my point is that you'll get to see the kids that you don't normally see. And I do find value in that. So I'm looking forward to it. Might be staying up there, not really sure. I mentioned it to Jim Schmiedeberg from Blue Shirt Underground. Hopefully he'll be going there as well. I think about 15 minutes from there. By the way, if you love Rangers content, you need to check out Blue Shirt Underground. Love those guys. And also Rock and Sean on Two Guys, One Cup. Great Ranger stuff. I was told by a mutual friend of the three that we're like the tripod of Rangers Facebook streaming. And the fact that I was in that conversation, I took as a massive compliment because that's rarefied air. So, but yeah, look, if you intend to go, let me know. I'm happy to, say hi. I really enjoy seeing people that are fans of the show. I know I've met Mike Farese a couple times at the Garden for Ranger games. I've met Hank and Dichter from Review and Previews, a big Ranger fans, been on the show a couple times. So it's cool. Like I like seeing people, we're all family to some extent. Right. So I do like seeing people. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Screw them. And they're going to be so bad this year, too, Tom. So bad. Peter Kreider. Peter, how are you, bro? Sorry, I know I'm seeing some of the names. I didn't promote this tonight. I wasn't sure if I was going to go on or not, but then the Lundkvist news broke. I'm like, football's going to start. I need to talk to my people. Kreider brings so much more to the game on the top six of scoring. You can't drop him. Peter, I don't necessarily disagree with that, but I think that, again, it goes back to you got to get Lafreniere in your top six. If not, you got to move him. You got to trade him, and they're not going to trade him. That's not going to happen. So pretty simple equation. Tickets, I think, are $10-$20. Yeah. And Mark Brown, right? With MSG owns a Ranger and the cable station that could have broadcast that. I will never understand why there isn't more Ranger, not necessarily preseason, but training camp coverage. And you own the goddamn network. You're showing games from 10, 20 years ago, or an infomercial or some nonsense. Hello? We want the Ranger stuff. Put the Ranger stuff. Put some Knicks stuff if you want to. I'm not a Knicks fan, don't really care. But you have sports teams. The hell? Good point by you, Mark. Tom, Phantoms had games at Boardwalk Hall and AC that I went to. So to that point, Tom, I went to the Operation Hat Trick. So that was Hurricane Sandy when they had the lockout, and a lot of Ranger players were there. My wife got her picture with Henrik Lundkvist. Brad Richards was there. Great game. It was awesome to be in that building. I'm a wrestling nerd, so I always love going to Boardwalk Hall because WrestleManias 4 and 5 were there, only time ever, back-to-back WrestleManias. So I have some reference there. And plus, my family has been in the casino business forever. So I have this weird, I don't want to use the word fascination, but interest in 80s, 90s Atlantic City. My dad, so my dad worked at the Atlantis, which was also the Playboy Casino on the Boardwalk. He was at Trump Castle. He opened the Trump Taj Mahal. He worked at Trump Plaza. And then he went to the Revel. And then when the Revel went under, he said, you know what? I'm done here. So, my uncle he was with Showboat for the longest time, works at Harrah's now after Showboat took their casino floor off. So, my family's just been in the business. So, I just have a strange kind of interest in, I collect the dollar chips from all the casinos. So I would love if there were more, even third level hockey would be great, just to be able to go to Boardwalk Hall and see it. I enjoy being in that building for weird reasons, but yeah, that'd be really cool. No, that's cool, Peter. No, I appreciate it. It's good to see you, man. Like I said, I didn't really promote that I was going to be on tonight, so it's nice to see everybody. So it's nice to see everybody that is on, even though I didn't know I was going to be on. I do like that. How many shows do the New York Football Giants have compared to the Rangers? Sure, you're exactly right, Tom. And they don't even play Giants games on MSG, obviously. So it's just dumb. Tom was front row for that. That's awesome. That is cool. Tom, I also went to Dusk that night, which was the club at Caesars, and that's where my wife met Henrik Lundkvist. I saw the players. Scotty Hartnell was there, like the Flyer guys. So it was cool. I mean, it was like a once in a lifetime type thing. It was fun. I would do it again. Hopefully no natural disasters. Kevin, I'm 20 minutes from the Hershey Bears. Every season I make sure we go, and Hartford is in town. Always fun seeing the kids play. Excuse me. I was actually just in your neck of the woods then last weekend. My wife and I took my son out to Lancaster and Hershey for the weekend. We did Dutch Wonderland, which sucks, by the way. So overrated. We didn't do Hershey Park, but we did the Hershey Chocolate World because when we told him there was a factory, kid was all in. He had a blast. Good times. I don't know if I guess the Hershey Bears play in the Giant Center, which I don't know if that was a renamed Hershey Park Arena, but saw that when I drove by. So I actually didn't realize how massive Hershey, like that entertainment, the park thing is. It actually gave me a little bit of Disney vibes for a minute. Just how organized it was, but nice area. I mean, we had a good time. Terry, thank you for watching. As I say all the time with this, it's fun for me to be on, and you guys make it fun because we interact with each other. We have this common love of this hockey team, which sometimes can be an abusive relationship, but it's what binds us. It's what draws us all together, and it's awesome to be able to just take time to, talk with friends. Talk about what our common nearest and dearest to our hearts, and that's the Rangers. Tom, I absolutely will. That's awesome. I'll have to show you my picture with my wife. I live about an hour north of the city. My cable company dumped MSG. I have to do some bootleg viewing. Isn't that terrible? That's just terrible. So Mark, the funny thing about that is I live in South Jersey. So I'm in a town called Hamilton. If you've ever bought blueberries, you may have heard of it. But because it's actually right in the middle of Philly and Atlantic City. So because my zip code is 080, I get MSG Network on my DirecTV, which is the only reason I have DirecTV, I might add, but it's also the only reason I still have cable because I can't turn that off. Mark, I would look at ESPN Plus as an option. It's like $7 a month or something, and I think you'll get all the games. Even if you try a trial when the season starts, a lot of games are available on ESPN Plus. Every so often, I was actually watching them on the app versus the DirecTV on certain TVs in my house. So check that out. I think you might get there. Oren, do you have a suggestion you might get back for Lundkvist? So no, you're fine. You're fine, brother. I appreciate you always interact. I no problem. I think it's got to be a center prospect. I don't think it's anybody for the roster. I think that their cap's going to preclude that. I think that they need to get back a center prospect. They need to go find a team that needs defense and has centers, mix and match. To me, that's what they need to do. They need to work and fill the organizational hole that they created by continuing to take wingers and defensemen. Deal from your strength. See, that's just terrible. I hate hearing that. Mark Brown, ESPN Plus is blackout because I'm in the viewing area. It's amazing because all they make it hard for you to spend your money. It's amazing. Like this is not growing the game. Yes, it is, Tom. Blueberry capital of the world, and my wife makes an unbelievable blueberry buckle. It's crazy. It's unbelievably good. It's health food too because there's blueberries in it. Frankie Gallo, always a great show. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. And again, I always, I came into the show tonight and I knew what I wanted to talk about, and I'm like, this might fill 25 minutes. we have stuff to talk about, but the season's not here yet, and here we are. Look, we're 51 minutes in. Like it's just the nature of this. It's great interacting with you guys because we always start talking about things that are semi tangents of what we're talking about, but it's stuff that we talk about. So thank you for the kind words. Thank you for watching. I absolutely appreciate that. Sav says Nils to LA for Alex Turcotte. Sure. I'm in. Call somebody. Get it done. I'm in. But that's the kind of thing. Like you need to take this unfortunate situation and turn it into a positive, and you do that by getting a center. Because something tells me you're going to need one next year. I'm not after this year because I don't think Heedle's coming back. We'll talk about that in a couple of weeks. I don't want to upset people, but I have my thoughts on that. Sam Rose and Joe Micheletti. Anybody else? I don't know who else is doing it. Oh, Joe. Oh, I'll never forget when Joe McLean said that was a great defensive power play. What schmuck. Name the top 3 goal scorers this year. Ooh, I like that. I like that. So I'm gonna go against the grain here. I'm gonna say it's not Kreider. I'm gonna say it's Mika, Bread, and Lafreniere, and they all break 30. I understand that I'm making a quantum leap with Lafreniere. I get it, but again, I think that there's no way that Kreider replicates that, right? So you got to find 20 goals. I think you find the 20 goals between Panarin having a better year and a leap from Laffy. I do think, though, also that Trocheck has better touch around the net because Ryan Strome didn't. Missed open nets a lot. Pissed me off. Pissed you off, too, I'm sure. When we lose games because Ryan Strome can't the broadside of a barn. Listen, I am not unhappy that he's gone. Like I have felt, and we'll see if I'm right. I have felt that Ryan Strome was a product of Panarin from the jump. Let's see. Because if that's the case, then that second line is going to take a leap up because Trocheck's his own player. Trocheck can be a player on his own, doesn't need Panarin. Now, don't get me wrong. Having Panarin's wonderful, but you can be your own guy, whereas I think Strome was nothing more than, if you remember the old Batman in the 60s, Adam West was on the bike playing Batman and Robin was in the sidecar. Strome was the sidecar guy. I don't think Trocheck's a sidecar guy. I think Trocheck's not a star. Good player. I don't love the contract because being 7 years, but really it's 3 because the no movement clause ends after 3 years. And if you look at down the roster, down the lineup, there's a lot of like 3 to 4 years. Like they know what their window is. So I give them credit for that. Might be getting a female. I am not aware of that. If that is the case, that would be news to me. But I guess we'll see. Peter, I will sweeten Lundkvist for Turcotte. Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of deal. That's the kind of thing that will help. And Tom is just needling me now about Sammy Blais getting all those goals, all those minutes. Last topic for tonight is the Rangers takeover. Are you in? Hashtag NYR takeover. If you missed the show a couple of weeks ago, we're trying to go viral. And basically, what I would like to do is this Sunday is September the 4th. And I want that to be Rangers Fans Day on social media. I'll play that again. Everybody needs to post pictures in their Ranger gear with the hashtag NYR takeover. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. What I really want to do is I want to get it trending. I want to get all of us, all Ranger Nation out there showing our team spirit. And I want them to I wanted to remind other fan bases, number one, just how massive the Ranger fan base is. And number two, remind them that they are peasants and the Rangers fan base is the preeminent base in the NHL. We're ready for the season. Their team sucks and they suck for rooting for that team. Get your family and friends involved. Let's all just take over social media on Sunday. Let's get Ranger red, white, and blue everywhere. Let's get it trending. Let's let them know this is going to be a good year for our boys. And we're fired up for it. So again, hashtag NYR takeover. I'll be posting a little more about that over the next couple of days to remind you, but it's awesome. Let's do it. Tom, can I post a picture of me? You could post anything you want to with the hashtag and some sort of Ranger something. Tom, I hope that you're clothed in this picture. I haven't seen the picture. So I hope that you're wearing some articles of clothing. But sure. Hashtag NYR takeover. I plan on posting about a dozen pictures that day. Twitter, Instagram, maybe even LinkedIn if you're feeling it. Are you on Twitch? I don't know. Does that post? I'm not a Twitch guy. My buddy Jimmy Tolkie's a Twitch guy. But again, let's take over the internet together. It'll be a lot of fun. Terry's in the spirit. Terry, I'm going to be looking for yours. Rangers gear on Sunday. Hashtag NYR takeover. I want to see all the pictures. I can't believe the show got to an hour tonight, guys. Like, really, I thought I'd be done in a half an hour. So a lot of that is just you guys interacting. I love that. Thank you. You make this much easier for me. Next show, I don't know. I don't know yet. So it'll probably be, if I look at the calendar, probably either the week of the 12th or the week of the 19th, because the Rangers' first preseason game, I believe, is against the Islanders on the 25th, which is 24 days from today. So it's coming, and it's coming quick. So we definitely need to have another show before preseason starts to talk about roster and lineup and everything. So keep an eye out on the BlueTruth page. I will try to post ahead of time. Like I said, I do apologize for not doing that for this one. I just wasn't sure if I was going to be able to. And then, news breaks. I'm like, well, we got to talk about it, right? So kind of was a last minute type thing, but sometimes that's always the best. And Tom, with an excellent point, is sometimes when you last longer than you think you can, it's always good. And that's absolutely true. For anybody out there watching, again, thank you. Give us a like on the show. Again, I will tell you that when more people like something, Facebook is more apt to push it out to more people. That's the way the algorithm works. So the more you like the live broadcast, the more other people will see it. And I appreciate that more than you know, because we've got a nice little following now on the BlueTruth page. If I could look at the live number of followers, and I'm trying to get there, but I'm streaming, so it's taking up some of my internet. We're definitely, I want to say, at about 1,300 follows. So here we go. So 1,391 likes, 1,472 follows. We're getting close to 1,500. That's all you guys, man. I appreciate that. That's just... I've built, again, this is part of the Sports Box Network. I've built up the Sports Box page to about 22,000 followers, and that's great. But this is my world. This is Ranger hockey. This is us. And the fact that it's getting close to 1,500, I love you guys. So as we wrap up tonight again, Kevin, thank you for doing, Kevin, thank you. I appreciate interacting with you, talking Ranger hockey with you. Hope I want to continue doing that. So thank you for the time. I appreciate it more than you know. Again, BlueTruth episode 23. That's the Adam Fox episode. Sports Box Network powered by. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe, all the fun stuff. And again, Sunday, hashtag NYR takeover. Post your pictures. Let's get it trending. Let's take over the internet and let all these losers know the Rangers are going to be in the mix this year. This is really the first year of the window. And I know that's crazy to say, a year after you were 6 wins away from a championship. But this is really the first year of the window, which is awesome. Totally awesome. So we will see you in a couple of weeks. Let's go Rangers. NYR takeover. Do it. Do it and you're cool.